I'm just not as strong as I'd like to be. You know what I mean? Like, there have definitely been things that needed to be picked up. How about this? Very few people in my life have ever asked me to help them move. That's how you know you come off a little anemic to your friends. You know what I mean? Because I actually have anemia. But like, my thing is, if you're in the throes of like being your absolute strong, maybe I've watched too many movies, but I've just want to have like one period in my life where like I walk past stuff and I think about picking it up without the injury that might occur. You know what I mean? There have been people, okay, as an example, I try to be helpful, right? And I was in New York and I was I was on a subway and I was getting up the stairs. I had already got off the train, right? And on the second, there were 3 rows of stairs, right? And on the second row of stairs was a young mom who had a stroller with a baby in it, right? So then I'm like, okay, she already got up the first one. I'm not just gonna assume that she needs help, but the fact that she's doing it by herself and the stroller is hitting every step, she's shaking the baby. Like, that's undeniable. Just bow, 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 right? And so then I'm walking up and she looks like she's really contemplating how to do the second and third set of stairs, because I think she must also felt like that was a lot of shaking, right? And so then I walk up and I'm like, hey, would you like a little help up? And then she was like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then I actually go down a couple stairs, you know, so I can like protect my back, lift with my legs and everything, and keep the baby at the right trajectory, because now the baby's still gonna be at an angle. He's not gonna be like this and then. So then I grab the bottom of the stroller and I go to pick it up. And I put in the effort, but the baby doesn't move. And I cannot tell if the stroller is made of titanium or if this baby is secretly 12. Like, because this is what's so embarrassing about what's happening right now, is that I have 2 people, one of which doesn't have object permanence yet, but 2 people who know exactly what's going on. They know that I've now offered to help and I cannot help. Because as I'm really, like, do you ever see The Sword and the Stone? It was... Because my hams and my quads are wiggling. And so I've got the wiggle going. So I know I'm putting in the effort, right? And I even readjusted and put my foot on a different step. Because I was like, that's a bad step. I don't like that step. That's what it is. That step was too low. It wasn't doing my legs any justice. Let me get up another step. So then I put, but this is a worse position to be in, right? So now I'm lower, and now I'm wiggling. But the thing, okay, so I'm wiggling so hard, and then I look up a little bit, and the baby is like. And I never thought that being judged by a baby would help me access more glute use than I ever thought possible, because then I look up and the mom is also like, and so then I look past them because they are not helping me right now. And I finally lift it up a little bit, and I get maybe knee height, right? Which this is not comfortable to go upstairs with weight, okay? But I start pushing, and I get up one step, and get up another step, And I cannot believe that this mom did this by herself, because I'm like, this is with help. And so sure enough, climbing up, and maybe a quarter of the way on the second set of steps, I start to feel a pain. I shouldn't say a pain. I start to feel 3 pains. One was in my back, one was in my quad, and one was in my hamstring. And other people are passing us, because I wasn't the only one that got off the subway. And as we're passing by, this other guy was passing by, much bigger dude, but he was like, "Do y'all need help?" Which is devastating. You ever been a good Samaritan and needed a good Samaritan? It was terrible. So then I'm turning to him to be like, I'm about to answer, and then the mom is like, "Yes." And so then this dude, with one hand, moves my hand and starts to take up some of the slack, right? And in my head, I'm like, all right, it's gonna be the 3 of us together. And okay, all right. So this dude moves this hand with this hand, moves it out of the way, and so now I'm just pinching both my hands on this other part, but he really is keeping it level in a way that's devastating. And then he was like, it brightens my day to help out a young, beautiful couple like y'all. Which means that as he was walking up the steps and got level with me, he was sure I couldn't carry my own son. And so I'm holding this one, and he's holding this one with one hand, right? Other hand in his pocket. He chilling. And then almost immediately, this young Bob says, "Oh, we're not together." And in my head, I'm like, you couldn't fake. You couldn't save me the embarrassment for 17 more steps. We don't know this man. I don't know you. We're not together. And so then he goes, "Ooh, oh, okay. Well, we all try to make things work the best way possible." Now he thinks I am an absent father that isn't able to carry my own son. And so then she's like, "No, I don't know him." I was like, you really had to throw me under the bus right now. You couldn't just pretend to know me for 15 more steps. And then he goes, "Oh." And now he knows that I'm a stranger that can't pick up his not son. And I try to help people and everything, but this is too embarrassing. So after about the 4th step, I was like, "Hey, I'm late." "Do you think you could?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah." And then he, both hands, and I walked up the stairs by myself and then ran. When I got to the top, I did not want to be seen again. That was terrible. How are you gonna, we not together? No, I don't know him. How are you? Just trying to be helpful. But I was hurt, like my pride was hurt. And so then I went home and got online and Googled the weight of that stroller, because I was like, this thing has got to be like at least 100 pounds or something. Try and make myself feel better. Turns out it was all baby. That stroller is 8 pounds. I'm surprised it was holding the kid up. I was watching the news, because at first I saw it on the news and then it spilled over to social, so I was watching a lot of it. I saw where Tyreek Hill got stopped by the police, right? And I don't think he got arrested. I mean, he got detained for a bit, but he still made it to the game and did quite well. But the whole thing was pretty wild, and I made sure to watch like everything that got released, like the full body cam footage and everything, because I saw just so many people arguing about it online, right? And in case you didn't see it, basically Tyreek Hill, who's a football player, right? He is he's driving and gets pulled over, right? And anytime I'm on Twitter and I see like a video of a black dude getting pulled over, I'm like, well, it was a good day. I don't know what I'm about to see. And so, you know, you see the body cam footage of the cop walking up after they pulled him over to Tyreek's window. And Tyreek is sitting there in the car and everything, and then the cop knocks on the window, and then Tyreek lowers his window, looks at the cop and goes, "Don't knock on my window like that," and then rolls the window back up. And as an African American audience member, I was like, uh-oh. And you can tell, even the cop, you can't see his face because it's his body cam, but you can tell he's like, what? What just happened? So then he knocks on the window again, and he's like, yo, keep the window down. And he's like, don't knock on my window like that, right? Don't knock on my window like that. And they just go back and forth. He's like, keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Now, to be fair, by now the window is just down. Like he's just, it's kind of like one of those things where you arguing with somebody, but they are doing the thing you asked them to do, but you still mad. So then you're like, and keep doing it. You just don't know what to say next. You're like, and stay doing it. And so then, you know, he hands him his license and registration, and then he rolls the window back up. And like, look. Look. Rolling the window up on anybody. I've never seen a respectful rolling of the window up, right? Like when I've been out and I've been in situations and I roll the window up, it's very clear what I mean, right? I remember one time I was with my friend Mike in Chicago, and he was giving me a ride home from a show, and there was this one dude that was in the street, middle of the street. And, you know, we had a pretty clear, we were in Chicago, and so we're going down like that Argyle area and everything, and we have a pretty clear street because it's so late at night, right? And it's, it's like maybe 2:30 in the morning because I had a late show and I stayed to talk with people and stuff like that. And Mike is giving me this ride back, and we've got the windows down and everything. But then we're at a red light, and we see a red light away this guy who's been in the street, and we could tell from the distance, is just running in the street, no shirt on, everything. And then Mike just goes, let me roll up my window because this nigga is making me nervous. Rolling up the window is not both like a power move, sometimes it's also a move of like, I really don't want to look at you right now. And so the cop knocks on the window again. He's like, hey, keep the window down. And then Tyreek is like, yo, just give me my ticket so I can go, right? And as an African-American audience member, I was like, oh. You know? And so then God tells him one more time, he's like, yo, keep the window down before I take you out of the car. Matter of fact, get out of the car, right? So he just immediately decides, like, no, open this door. Open the door before I break the window. Open the door, right? And so then Tyreek is like, okay, damn, all right. So he unlocks the door, and then they pull the door open, and they start pulling Tyreek out. He's like, okay, I'm getting down, damn, right? And now they're pushing him down and everything. And he's like, hey, careful. I just had surgery on my knee. And they're telling him. And then the guy, you know, the same cop as before, is like, oh, that's convenient. You didn't have surgery on your knee in the car when you couldn't keep the window up. And I was like, that's not how knees work. And so they got Tyreek down flat on the ground. I can't remember if they handcuffed him or they zip tied him or they just had him with his hands right here. And you gotta keep in mind that this is all for like some speeding. Like if you're speeding and they catch you, they just arrest you because you're speeding that much, you know? Like if you're going the speed of the temperature in Arizona, you're just... you're just going to jail. But all of this happens, speeding a little bit, right? And then, you know, he's on the ground, hands down, everything. He's trying to call someone to let them know that he's gonna be late, which is courteous. And then, you know, I don't know when in the sequence this happened, because then this is from a different angle, but I watched something that was fully put together, right? So I don't know if this one was on police body cam, but this was just like a part of, you know, a part of the footage. And then, you know, Tyreek said something along the lines of like, yeah, another black man trying to drive in America, right? And then the same cop as before says like, oh, I'm Cuban, don't play that shit with me, right? Which isn't quite, like I see where he was trying to get, but no, the 2 points kind of miss each other, right? And then, you know, there was another player who had stopped his car and got out just to see what was happening, because he saw Tyreek's car, Tyreek on the ground and everything. And so then he's trying to call somebody, and Tyreek is telling him like, yo, call whoever. I don't know if it's like the GM or I don't know who he wants him to call, but he keeps saying the same name. So then that guy goes, okay. But then the cop sees that guy and goes, yo, you can't stop there. Get back in your car. You can't stop there. Get back in your car right now. He's like, okay, I'm getting back in my car. I was just trying to see what's happening. Don't worry about what's happening. Get back in your car right now. Drive off, right? And he's like, okay, and even as he's moving towards his car, the cop was like, you know what? You too. And then takes him. And it did get to the point where I was like, are they gonna arrest the city? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you drive by, you get curious. You're like, you know, maybe you're in your car and you drive by a little slow. You're like, is that Tyreek Hill? And the cop's like, you can get some too. Like, you know? But it just got me to thinking, like, what, all of this, and our expectation, the fact that we expected it to be worse than it was, you know? Because I want to be clear about something. Tyreek Hill was, if you watch the tape, he was being an asshole because he thought he could get away with it, right? He thought he had enough money. He thought he had enough, like, access or proximity to maybe how his white friends move, you know? That he thought he could be an asshole and get away with it. And I want to be clear, the cops in that situation were also being assholes because they thought they could get away with it. But only one of those two parties was at work. Do you know what I mean? Everybody has a bad day. Everybody can't be perfect, and some people are assholes through and through, right? But being an asshole isn't illegal. One of those parties has a gun, has the ability to kill, has the power to move people where they want them to go, you know? And it's a terrifying thing because my thing is like, take race out of it for a second, right? The way that the police are allowed to move is what creates the expectation. It just happens to get to a certain place with black people more often than not. But it's the way that we're all police and the thing that we all allow as long as it's happening to somebody else that keeps the system intact. You know? And so I've watched the police do all manner of things in different videos to different people, right? But there's a certain place we let it get to in our minds where we just accept that, like, oh man, you disrespected a cop, you about to get your ass beat. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? Why is that? Because I'm not trying to make it as if race isn't an actual issue in it. It's like inextricably linked to it. But at the same time, trust me when I say anybody can get it. I've watched so many videos of people, kids, you know? And it's because of the way that we let police move and also what we ask police to do, right? There should just be a scanner. If you're speeding, we'll catch you. And I don't have to talk to the dude with the gun. That would be nice. That would be so much better to just, I was speeding, you got me, that's my bad, I was speeding, and now I don't get tapped on the window by a dude that I know is armed that's not having a great day. You know? Because I've even watched, like you wouldn't believe, you know, I've watched my white friends move around the police in a way that I could never imagine, right? But I've also watched them. There's a weird leveling off that happens when it comes to policing, where sometimes white people get loud or get violent with the police, and the police go, I'm white too, so like, let's nix that now. You gotta get your ass beat today. You know? And I've also seen black police tuning up black kids, right? But it's also the expectation that we have of police and the way that we allow them to move that like leads to situations like this. You know what I mean? It's terrifying to be pulled over by the police, just in my view, as a black person. Not even because I'm like, man, this cop's definitely gonna be racist. It's more just what can happen and what they can get away with that's terrifying. And I know that we're not all feeling the same way, but in my opinion, we should all be terrified. Because everything's well and good until it happens to you. And trust me when I tell you it can happen to you. In college, I had a friend who was getting a little drunk, right? He was pretty drunk. And, you know, he got loud with a cop. And I was trying to, you know, dissuade him. But I was doing it from a distance, like a coach. You know what I mean? Like I was... You know, I was like, hey, I know you white, but you gonna get tased. I'm telling you. The way you moving right now is taser behavior, okay? That white skin can only protect you for so long. You about to get that ass beat, I'm telling you. I've seen too many videos of people doing what you do, and they never end well. And they didn't tase them, but let's just say I did eventually have to yell out, I'll see you back at the door. I don't want these problems.
You have seen him everywhere, but tonight you are seeing him live. Please put your hands together for Josh Johnson.
Sometimes I find myself falling down whole rabbit holes online of things, stories and stuff. And there's a case, there's a trial. It just ended. And I think it may qualify for trial of the century. I know that's premature to say, but I don't know. I think it's pretty incredible. The trial of Young Thug just ended. Now, if you don't know who Young Thug is, he's a rapper. It's not a dog whistle this time, all right? Young Thug is a rapper that was on trial in Fulton County in Georgia, right? Basically, the state's case, what they were alleging was that he took all of the money that he made from music and he funneled it through and to a gang called YSL, a gang that he was supposedly the leader of, right? And that's the state's case. And the judge in the case looked exhausted. I've never seen a judge act like this before. Every time the court camera cut to her, her head was in her hands. And I'm not gonna act like I know the law, okay? My understanding of the law sort of begins and ends with Law and Order SVU, all right? So I know you can sustain, and you can object. I've never heard a judge be like, you can't do that. She said it a lot. And now the prosecution in the case, the prosecutor had given out a lot of plea deals. Ton of plea deals. More plea deals than I thought you could give out. I didn't have a number in my head, but this felt like an egregious amount of plea deals. It just felt like she was going to the hood like, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea. She was basically giving a plea deal to everybody in Georgia but Young Thug, right? And she was giving these plea deals in return for their cooperation, their testimony that she would use to piece by piece paint the bigger picture that the state was alleging that Young Thug's the leader of YSL. Everything they do is by his direction. All his money goes through and to them, right? And the only problem is the prosecutor in this case gave plea deals to some of the least helpful people in human history, all right? I've never seen people less helpful than this. It was astoundingly unhelpful. I was helping my friend move one time. And he and I had to move a pool table, just us, downstairs. And our third friend was there at the bottom of the stairs just watching. And even he was more helpful than anyone that the prosecutor gave a plea deal to in this case. At least he could be like, watch your step, something. I'm gonna tell you about some of the testimony. I'm gonna need you to be patient with me because a lot of the dudes testified in this trial are going by their rapper name and they haven't made it yet. So I don't know why it's spelled like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Just, I'm gonna say he for short, all right? There's one dude that was on the stand, right? And prosecutor asked him a very specific question, very specific reason. She goes, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, right? Now, Rich Homie Quan is also a rapper who has sadly passed away. But his friend, to the best of my knowledge, allegedly, is a gang member, right? This whole question is to paint Young Thug as a leader of a gang. That's why he would have a problem with a different gang member coming to his party, right? So the prosecutor asked, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party? And then this guy on the stand goes, Thug, did you have an issue with Rich Homie Quan? Never in the history of court Have I seen someone ask a question by the prosecution and then go, I'll just go to the source. And so then the prosecutor goes, no, I'm asking you. Did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, all right? And then this guy goes, I'm not Young Thug, so I don't know. Moments later, prosecutors are asking question after question after question, all alleging the same thing, all to the same end, right? And this dude, he's not being combative. He's not even being rude. He's just not being helpful. And so then the prosecutor pulls up, I don't know if she pulled up it exactly, but basically references his plea deal where she goes, I have right here you answering questions definitively that I'm asking you right now. And then this guy on the stand goes, y'all wrote that, I just signed it. Never in the history of court, at least that I know of, and it's like, you know, the internet especially was of two minds, because it was like people could not decide if these were like some of the dumbest people who had ever lived or legal masterminds. Because basically what this dude is saying in open court, right, is, look, you were about to give me how many years. I didn't want to do how many years, and you told me if I signed the paper, I wouldn't do how many years, right? So I signed the paper, but I'm not about to perjure myself. Oh. This dude was supposed to be on the stand for 3 hours. 3 days later. The prosecution is asking question after question after question, all to the same end, right? And, you know, references again. Look, I understand that we typed it up, but what is in this is based off of what you said to the police. This is based off of testimony you gave during interrogation. And he was like, yeah, but if you gave it to me to type up, it would say something different than what you have right there, right now. Even the prosecutor was like, oh. Question after question after question after question. And finally, this dude, he doesn't snap exactly. He doesn't lose it, right? I think he just gets exhausted. And finally he says, look, I'll tell you what I told the police. I'll say anything. Like, this is a witness for the prosecution. It's absolutely insane. The whole case is insane because you even look at the fact that the case had 3 different judges. Yeah, got passed off like a bad baton. First judge was Judge, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Glanville, yeah. And this judge, he does seem to suck. Like, he does. But he also had to put up with some stuff, too, because there were jurors that were fully out of pocket during this case. Just a couple of examples. There was one juror that got picked. It already took nearly a year, by the way, to pick a jury, which is insane. And then after they picked the jury, there's one juror that during the trial has started, and I think they just went to the Dominican Republic. Deputies got sent to their house, were knocking on the door, everything, and then they got back, and they had to appear in court, and the judge was like, you have jury, you have to be here to be on the jury. And they were like, every day? That sounds wildly inconvenient. Then the judge was ready to, hold this jury in contempt and was basically giving them an out, because this judge in particular loved contempt. He had a lot of contempt. The entire trial full of contempt. And gave the juror a way out. He was like, look, I could send you to jail, I could fine you, but what I'm gonna have you do instead is write me a 30-page paper on the importance of being a juror. This dude sentenced her to APA style. He sentenced her to citing sources. You couldn't see his face in the moment, but even Thug was like, damn. That's cruel and unusual. I've never heard of that before. There was another juror that I admittedly, I don't even know what happened with this person, but I know that they got in trouble for for live streaming the case. Which is extra crazy because it was being live streamed. Like, if you had been watching at home, you would just see them sit with the jury like... You risk jail time for an extra angle. We are... Judge Glanville, oof. There was a lot of plea deals being given out the entire case, like I said before. And some of the things that were happening was, this is me guessing, but there were people that were not being super forthcoming, that they probably didn't necessarily have to be, but they were in some sort of trouble. And so the plea deal was just given just as an extra, it's okay, you can talk, we just need to get this guy, right? And even with that, there were still people that didn't quite want to testify. And then there were people that were being so difficult, state's witnesses who were being so difficult that the state just could not get anywhere, And there was one person, star witness. Basically, the prosecution needed a through line. They needed something that would connect everything. And so they laid a lot of it on one person in particular. Okay? And they needed his testimony so bad that they pretty much gave him immunity on the stand. I didn't even know you could do that. It sounds made up. It sounds fake. I feel like he thought it was fake too, because he was like, immunity on, so if I say something on the stand, answering one of your questions, and it implicates Thug, but it also implicates me, I'm okay? Yeah, you're okay, you have immunity. Immunity on the stand, you're gonna be good. You sure? Yeah, you're gonna be good. Okay, I'm not even joking. He goes, okay. Okay, but what if it's federal? And I love that. I love a good haggle. I love like, okay, I hear immunity, but can I get a federal? Can I get some federal? Federal, please. Can I get a little federal? Oh, it's beautiful. This dude gets all the stab, and you can tell he doesn't trust it. You can tell he's like, nah, they're up to something. Doesn't want to answer any questions, but we told you have immunity. All right. Basically compelling this man to testify, dangling immunity in his face. Sits on the stand. First question from a prosecutor. How old are you? And he goes, grown. And the prosecutor's like, what do you mean by grown? It's like, I'm an adult. Prosecutor is like, okay, seeing as you're an adult, how many years is that? And then he goes, looks over at the judge. I plead the fifth. Truly incredible work. Truly phenomenal, They would be asking him lots of questions, question after question. And it was getting frustrating for the prosecution. It was getting frustrating for the judge because, look, maybe I'm doing my best to be as fair as possible, but when you watch a case like this, it does just seem like if you're a defendant, you're up against two parties. You're up against the prosecution and you're up against the judge because everything in this case kept giving the prosecution chances, even when they would mess up. Because once again, they're not being given a lot with testimony, but there are things that they have in hard evidence. They're just not bringing them all together to make it cohesive, right? And then this star witness's testimony is not helping. So then, can't stress this enough, you cannot do this. Judge Glanville supposedly has a secret meeting with the witness and the prosecution, but not Young Thug's lawyers, right? It's something in Latin that I don't know how to pronounce, but you're not supposed to do it. And basically, in this meeting, this witness is then threatened with the dangled immunity and everything. Oh, we'll charge you for this. We'll hold you in contempt for 2 years. We'll put you in jail. All this stuff, unless you start testifying, unless you start answering questions to the best of your ability. I don't want to hear any more of this pleading of the fifth, all that stuff, right? And so then they go back to court, and he's answering questions so well that the defense gets suspicious. Defense is like, what happened between now and lunch? All of a sudden, he remembers everything. He remembered what color everybody was wearing. And then it comes to the defense lawyer's attention that there was this secret meeting. And so he addresses it in court, in front of the judge, to the judge. He goes, Your Honor, I've heard some distressing news that there was a secret meeting with you, the prosecution, and the witness. My client and I were not privy to. I don't know what was discussed. This person's acting different now. Like, what is this? And the judge, instead of denying it, instead of being like, that's a horrible accusation, that's not true at all, the judge goes, who told you that? And you can look at it. You can look at it because it was live streamed. You can look. Who told you that? And he's like, Your Honor, don't worry about who told me that. That's the least of my concern. It's who told me that. The meeting is my concern. He's like, no, I need to know. This is very distressing. I need to know who told you that. And he's like, Your Honor, it doesn't matter who told me that. Is that true? Like, did that happen? Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? Who told you that? Over and over and over. And it's just wild that, like, in a RICO case involving supposed gang members, that the judge is like, who snitched? Nah, for real, who snitched? Huh? Like, hey, I need you to come up out them names. Who snitched? Ain't nobody play with. Look, I will bust everybody in here right now. Who snitched? And Doug's lawyer is like, no, look, I'm not going to tell you, all right? I'm not going to tell you how I came upon this knowledge. I'm just asking you if this happened. I'm asking you maybe even for a mistrial. Like, how could this happen? He goes, who told you? Who told you? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell me who told you. And Doug's lawyer is like, I don't need 5 minutes. I'm not going to tell you. That should be the least of your concern. Like, is this true? And he's like, I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me. I will put you in jail if you don't tell me. You will go to jail if you do not tell me. It's like, look, I'm not going to tell you. You can put me in jail, but the problem is the meeting. The problem isn't who told me, right? And so then the judge does it. He holds Doug's lawyer in contempt, which is pretty terrifying. You know? This judge is basically going over and over again. Who snitched? Who snitched? I can't stand a snitch. And you know... And you couldn't see Thug's face in the moment, but he had to have been like, I know, right? And so then Glanville does it. He holds Thug's lawyer in contempt. And, you know, the Bar Association hears about it. And they show up to back Thug's lawyer up because that's terrifying. It's terrifying if a judge does something, doesn't even bother denying it, and then holds you in contempt for asking. That's a scary court system. You know what I mean? Because that's one of those things. If it can happen to anybody, it can happen to anybody. Like, I know that it's a case involving hip hop, involving like gang culture, whatever. But that particular thing, that could happen to anybody. I promise you. That's very scary. You know. And so the Bar Association shows up to back this dude up, and it looks like his case is going to be heard, and probably the contempt is going to be thrown out. But basically, they tell Glanville, it's like, there's no way you're impartial. If you're trying this hard, there's no way you're willing to just let the facts play out. And so Glanville has to recuse himself from the case. And one of the things about recusing yourself, it doesn't undo damage. The case just goes on, you know? So there's still this like contempt hanging over Thug's lawyer's head and stuff. And then they move on to the next judge, and the next judge was the judge for a day. I'm not a judge, and I don't know how judges get cases and stuff. Apparently this case was just given to her randomly and everything, and then she got the case and she was immediately like, hey, y'all, I can't. And so many people were like, why? What's the problem? Don't worry about me. I can't right now. And so then the case goes to the third judge. You know, the judge just, that judge. The case goes to her, and she does her best. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult because there are things happening in the case that should just never happen. They actually had an officer come in who was, I guess you could almost call him a specialist in RICO cases through his police work, right? And even he made a mistake on the stand that had the defense asking for a mistrial because basically the state handled the case so poorly, so messy, just so confusing, right? That the defense would be asking for a mistrial consistently. They were asking for a mistrial the way that you act when you got 2 cards left in Uno. Anybody do anything, you're like, oh. Defense would call for a mistrial nonstop. That's a mistrial right there, Your Honor. He just sneezed. That's a mistrial. He gonna get everybody sick. Because this witness on the stand, his testimony, I'm pretty sure had to be thrown out because even though he's an expert in RICO and everything, it was 2 things were revealed that were pretty distressing. One, it's a RICO case, so they're trying to get everybody on everybody's crimes, but they never bothered to really look at the financial records of Thug. Which is pretty insane if you're telling me that all the money he makes, he runs through and to a gang. And you didn't bother to check a Chase statement or anything? That's wild. And then, while this officer is giving testimony, he makes a mistake that obviously wouldn't be called out by the prosecution, but does not get called immediately. And then the defense hears it, and then they're like, this is crazy. We can't allow it. Basically, he references past convictions as part of a testimony to what this person would have done in this case. And you can't do that. You got to judge it by the merits of the evidence you have in front of you about what happened right now, right? And at one point, the judge loses it. She storms out. The judge goes, I can't take it anymore. She hadn't even been the judge the whole time, but she was like, this is insanity. And you couldn't see his face, but you could imagine Thug being like, I know, right? Like, and so she almost grants a mistrial. There's a mistrial with prejudice and mistrial without prejudice. Mistrial with prejudice is basically don't even bring it up again. Mistrial without prejudice is like, okay, you didn't make the best case or something happened or a bunch of jurors went to the Dominican Republic, so like we can try it again later.
And so, the judge at one point has had it with the prosecution and is giving like a full-on. You just so rarely hear people talk to like this on a live stream that aren't on a Zoom call at home. Like this, she was just like, she was looking at the prosecution and she was at her wit's end and she was like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I don't know, with the years of experience that you have, I don't know if you were willfully trying this case as badly as possible or if you were just so unorganized that you can't seem to string a coherent thought together on how 2 things are related. We've heard testimony. There are people that don't show up. We're leaving at 4:25. Like, what is happening? And the whole time, prosecution is like, oh. You ever just take your talking to because you're like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, and like the prosecutor had the same nod that dudes have on the street when they getting yelled at on Valentine's Day. It's just like, just go ahead and nod. Accept that you've messed up. It was so bad. And it'd be thing after thing after thing, whether it was jurors, whether it was judges, whether it was just wild testimony. There were people so uncooperative, right? Like there was one point where they showed this guy a picture, right? And it's a picture of him and Thug and 2 other people. Apparently with the person, I don't know, I didn't see the picture, but apparently with the person who was murdered, right? because that's one of the charges. There's drug trafficking, there's like gun running, there's all this stuff, but there's also a murder, right? And when it comes to the murder, that's one of the big ones, because they're alleging that Thug paid for the getaway car, right? And so once again, not checking his financial record seems like an oversight. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying. And they show a picture, right, with all these people to someone on the stand. And they're like, do you recognize anyone in this picture? And he's like, I see me. Okay, fair enough. Even when it came to start with this, there was one time where they just simply asked this dude, when did you meet Young Thug? And he was like, before I went to jail. And just for the sake of clarity, the prosecutor tried to clarify, which time before you went to jail? And he just goes, you're right. And I don't know how you handle this sort of thing, because this ended up being the longest trial in Georgia's history. Also, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, because I guess plea deals cost a lot of money. And it gets so bad that every day, defense is like, hey, mistrial's still an option. You want to hit it with no mistrial? You can mistrial. But then, you know, the prosecution would do something that would kind of warrant a little bit of a mistrial. Like there was even one point where they had someone on the stand read a caption from an Instagram post. And this caption had been poured over because basically through the hashtags, what a lot was being alleged, because, you know, whenever there's letters, whenever there's numbers, it could have no meaning, or it could have double meaning, or it could mean exactly what the prosecution wants it to mean. It could mean what the defense wants it to mean. And so they were arguing about this one picture over and over again before they would let the person just read it out loud to the jury, right? Because then I don't know if it's a gang, and I don't know if that was what the prosecution was alleging, but there was one point where the prosecutor was asking someone on the stand about a series of numbers, right? And a lot of people will sort of rep their area code. That's just a common thing throughout America, right? Exactly. That one, that's one of those things. It's like it's so unifying. Everyone does it. Like sometimes you just can't help it. Yeah. But this is my thing. The dude on the stand, prosecutor asked him, "What's 374?" And he was like, "Numbers." Maybe it's a gang, maybe it's not. I have no idea, right? But basically, there's this one picture that's being poured over and over again, and this was the straw that sort of broke everything, right? Because they made agreements, and they had even redacted the picture so that only what would be read was what the prosecution and defense agreed on based off of the evidence that they were both showing, right? But then when they actually gave the picture to the person on the stand, nothing was redacted. And the prosecutor had them read everything. And so then the defense is like, "Your Honor." I've never heard a lawyer have to like go, Your Honor, kind of like, Mom, like. But this was it, Your Honor. We just went over the thing. Why would Shaw? And sure enough, Judge agreed. Judge was like, look, I gotta do something else with my life too. Like, it's just, it can't just be this. And the judge said an interesting thing, and like I said, I know a little bit about the law, most of it, what not to do from this case. But the judge says something where she's like, I'm basically trying to salvage something here because I don't want an entire jury's 11 months to be wasted. I don't want, which to me is a little weird. Their time's already been wasted. Like, this is about seeing if someone did or didn't do something, you know? And so that statement was said, but then, judge turns to the defense and goes, I'm not gonna grant you a mistrial with prejudice, but would you like a mistrial without prejudice? And defense was like, yup. And then she was like, I'm inclined to give it to you because this whole thing, this right here, no. No. And so then, they get to plea dealing a bunch of people day after day after day. And then they actually go to Thug and they're like, look, you're facing like 25, 40 years for all the things that we are alleging, right? But we'll give you probation, right? We'll give you probation if you just admit that you are the leader of YSL, a gang where you take all the money and you funnel it through into the gang and everything they do is at your direction. Like if you'll just say that, probation, you'll be good to go, right? And then Thug says, no, I'm not just gonna accept. You came to me to make your case for you. You know what I mean? No. And that's a very, I don't know, to me, that's a very, like, brave thing. Like, I don't even fully understand all of the conditions around the sentence that he actually got, but that was what he was initially presented with. And he said no. And then the state said, okay, we're gonna make sure that you do 25 years. And that doesn't sit right with me. And it obviously didn't sit right with his defense attorney. His defense attorney brought it up when the judge was about to make a decision. Basically, he says, Your Honor, the state came to us and they said he could do probation if he signs this piece of paper, or he could do 25 years if he doesn't. And I'm just kind of curious why the state would allow someone that they're so sure is a racketeering, drug peddling murderer to go free with probation if they're sure, right? And that he'll do 25 years if he doesn't say what they're so sure of. And the judge was like, good point. That is very hard to argue against. You know? And then the judge granted Thug probation and, he went home. And there are some people that are like, man, if he could have just stuck it out a little bit longer, seen the trial to its end, there's no way he would have been convicted. The defense was ruining the state, like just at every turn. And it was mostly the state tripping over themselves, right? And I get it, though. That dude sat in jail without bond. Dude was in jail for 2 years. He was in jail for a year while they picked the jury. He was in jail the entire trial, And every once in a while, don't get me wrong, every once in a while, Thug would also laugh. Because, like, he was spacing a lot of time, but every once in a while, he'd also be like, how did we get here? This seems... Far be it for me to say, I'm just a rapper, but as far as the law goes... But what? I don't know. I don't know. I get it. I get somebody tells you, hey, you just do 3 more months, you'll go free forever. Maybe. That's scary, you know? And it's also scary that, like, that the state needed it this bad. That a lot of cases come down to reputation over justice. You couldn't just take the L, right? It's like, no, you will die in prison for me to not look bad. That's terrifying, you know? And I know it feels like it can't happen. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't rap, but I could see myself in a bad situation. You know, because it kind of begs the question, you know, did this person get away with a bunch of stuff, or did the state just jam someone up for 2 years? You know, thanks. But that's my thing. It's like I don't even know, and I'm obviously not Thug. You know, I hope that everybody can like move on in the most prosperous way possible. I really do. Everybody that testified, everybody. I wish the best for everyone. I really do. I just can't seem to think. There's a level of peace you have to attain that I don't know if I have. Because if someone accused me of being this like drug running, you know, murderer, this horrible person, like this that did all these things, and they were willing to put me in jail forever with a bad case that they didn't have enough evidence for. And then they were just like, you can go if you just sign it. I think it would make me mad enough to kill someone. But that's just me.
Make some noise for Josh Johnson!
Wow, thank you so much for having me. This is so cool. I am happy to spend the 4th of July with you. Maybe you're not aware of some of our customs on the 4th of July. One of them that sticks out is a hot dog eating contest. And I've been traveling the world, and a lot of people think that they know what a hot dog is. They even think that they have their own version of a hot dog. And as I've traveled the world, I can honestly say that no, you don't. Because you all here, you know, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but you have bratwurst. That's not hot dog at all. That's good. You have to understand, to make a hot dog, like bratwurst is beef or veal. You know, it's a meat with herbs and spices in it, cooked well. A hot dog, especially in America, a hot dog is something that to make you first have to find. And when I say find, I mean like putting together a proper hot dog in its casing and to serve is a lot like a witch's spell. You have to find meat that's first on the floor. It's very important this meat is on the floor. If the meat is not on the floor, you might not be making a hot dog. You have to find this meat that's on the floor. You have to couple it all together. You have to push it through this machine. And bratwurst, you know, once again, beef, veal, you can only hold together a proper hot dog with hate and like a touch, like a dash, just a little bit of poverty, right? So you have some hate, you have, like you can get a side of anger in there too. And then you put it together into a hot dog, you wrap it up nicely so it looks like it might be edible. Because I don't know if you've had a hot dog. In order to prepare a hot dog, it's not like preparing a bratwurst. You have to boil a hot dog. And in order to boil the hot dog, it means you do have to ruin some water. You put the hot dog in the water, you boil it up, that cooks the hot dog. Cooks is a strong word. What are you cooking? It's demon meat. But you boil the hot dog up, so then you pull it out, that's cooked. You then put it in a bun to cover up that you're eating a hot dog. The water you have to dispose of like toxic waste. A lot of people will pour this down the sink. Don't do that. Don't get that mixed in with the regular. When I was little, I had a friend who his mom had a flower garden, and he'd make hot dogs after school, and then he'd pour the water in the hot dog garden, and all of the flowers died. Because that is runoff poison water. But yeah, you boil a hot dog and then you eat it. And when you eat it, you're supposed to close your eyes and pretend you're chewing something else. Because this is going to be nasty. You can try to dress it up with mustard, ketchup, with mayo relish, with whatever manner of things people do. Some people will act really, really holier than thou about how they prepare their hot dog, as if a hot dog is not a mystery of meat mushed together. I say all that because on the 4th of July, there is a hot dog eating contest that takes place, and the winner this year, once again, is a man named Joey Chestnut. And this year, he ate 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Which is the correct response. You know how I said that when you felt physically ill? That's how you're supposed to feel on the 4th of July after eating as many hot dogs as possible. I believe the record is 76 hot dogs. And I remember one time my buddy entered a hot dog eating contest, and he was super excited about it. And he had watched Kobayashi, he had watched Joey Chestnut, and he thought he could do it too. He was like, if they can do it, I can do it. Let's give it a try, right? And so he entered the hot dog eating contest, and it wasn't like the official Nathan's hot dog. It was just like a local one that was happening on 4th of July. And he entered the contest, sat down with the other contestants, and then over the course of 10 minutes, my friend ate 2. This man ate 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes. We were watching it like, when is he gonna kick into gear? Like, when is it? There are other people that are literally like swallowing hot dogs, like, as fast as possible. There was one dude that was this was incredible. He was screaming hot dogs down, right? He was like, oh! Meanwhile, our buddy, hot dogs in 10 minutes. We went from cheering to booing. We started out supportive. Initially, we were like, yeah, get him, you can do it. And then, when it was clear he couldn't, we were like, stop, you wasting a hot dog. And when he got done, we asked him, hey, what happened? We drove you here. You the one wanted to go way out the way to enter this contest to waste everybody's time. 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes is not a contest, that's a meal. What's wrong with you? And he was like, I panicked. What are you panicking about? He's like, I saw everybody else do it, and they were so fast. I was like, how are they not choking? And then I remembered I might choke. So then I started chewing extra. I was scared to choke. I was like, if you had at least choked, then 2 hot dogs in 10 minutes would be more reasonable. You got people over here fighting to get hot dogs now. He over here chewing responsibly. I do my best when I go anywhere to be as good of a guest as I can. You know, it means a lot to me to have me over here and for me to be your guest for a little while. I've been looking forward to this trip for a long time. And I'm always a little tense when I'm a guest, though. You know, even if it's just visiting a friend's house, you want to be a good guest. You don't want to leave and then have them be like, oh, never again. You know, like I get nervous to be seen as a bad guest. I don't want anything to go wrong. Like I've had to stay over, you know, for a couple nights at friends' houses, and they're like, "Oh, make yourself at home. What's mine is yours." I feel like that's a trap. You know, because you really make yourself at home and then you find out how much they mean it later. It's like, I'd rather just act like I shouldn't be in here at all. Quiet as a mouse, you know. I'll just act like I broke in and just try to affect as little as possible in the home. And they'll be like, what? He's such a good guest. We didn't even know he was here. One time I got so stressed out about being a guest at my friend's house while they were out of town that I just never went. And they were like, Josh, our apartment looks amazing. Did you do all this cleaning before you left? I was like, yep, you know it. Wanted to leave it better than I found it, you know. Because even being the guest at a party, that's like a short-term guest. When you're just there for the party, you're just there, you know, a few hours, maybe half the day if it goes long. And terrified to be a bad guest there. I just don't want to be remembered in a bad light. And there was this one time where I went to a friend's party, and I'm not great at parties to begin with. You know, I'm very much in the corner, or if I know one person at the party, that will be the person that I'm talking to the entire party. Like it will be a burden on them. Sometimes I see a friend that I know at a party and no one else, and I'm like, ooh, you about to have a bad time at this party. I hate that for you. I'm very sorry. But it's either talk to you or talk to a stranger, and come on. And so, you know, I was at this party, and my friend who actually invited me to the party was late. We were supposed to meet up together, and I misunderstood the text message. I thought they were already in there. So I knock on the door, I meet the host, I tell him, you know, oh, I'm friends with, and then he lets me in, which is a huge mistake. Because now I'm just sort of standing awkwardly while other people have a great time. And so I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? This is the fail safe. Every time you need a break from social interaction, or you just need to get your bearings together because you're in a public place and you're sort of freaking out, you go to the bathroom. The bathroom is the safe haven, right? And so I walk to the bathroom, I close the door behind me, and it's a little dim in the bathroom, but I use the bathroom, right? Other reason to go. And as I'm stepping away from the toilet, I hear this little crunch, like under my feet, and I look at it, and it's all of this glass under my feet, and it looks like the actual light bulb either popped or broke or something, and then now I've stepped in it. And as I really start to look around the bathroom, I realized that it is an absolute disaster in there. It is horrifically bad. So the bathroom mirror is smashed. I didn't notice it at first when I walked in, and the glass is in the sink, and there's a little bit of blood in the sink, right? And so I'm standing there, and I look over at the tub, and the shower curtain is pulled back, and there's a fur coat in the tub. And I'm like, all these things are too much for one thing. You know what I mean? Like this would be a shutting the bathroom down for a short period of time at the party if just one of them happened, and all of them are happening right now. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. I flush. That's as much as I can clean up right now. And then I'm a bit panicked, so I get ready to just get out of the bathroom, because if I can get out scot-free, if no one sees me come out of the bathroom, someone else can address this thing, because I don't know anyone here. My only friend is late, and the host has just seen me once. So I get ready to, I don't even, admittedly, this is gross, sorry, but I wasn't even gonna wash my hands, because I was like, there's a whole bunch of blood in there anyway. They'd be dirtier than when they were unwashed. And so I get ready to pull on the doorknob, and I hear a knock. And I can't open the door. There's no way I could open the door and be like, all yours. You know? It's crazy in there. And so I hear the knock, and I think to myself, oh no. There's no way. First of all, if you need to go to the bathroom, the last thing you want is for someone to open the door and be like, all right, before you get in there, I just want you to know none of this is my fault, okay? Before you walk in with judgment, just know anything can happen to anybody at any point. Like, if you had been a little quicker with your feet, this would have been you, okay? I don't know what to do as I'm just standing there. And I'm admittedly standing there for like way too long. Like, and I hear a knock again. And I'm like, all right, I gotta do something. I gotta buy myself some time. And so I just say, 1 second. That's bought me 1 second. I have to use it wisely. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I could try to clean up. I'm over here in my head freaking out because this is my worst nightmare. I'm gonna look like a terrible guest. I'm at a party where I don't know anybody, and I'm gonna look like I destroyed this bathroom. And so I'm Googling all types of stuff. I'm over here Googling, does glass flush? Like, does glass flush? How fast can you get blood out of the sink? If you were to look at my Google search history on this night, it would look like I definitely killed someone. Or at least a small animal. Because I was also Googling, like, does fur disintegrate? Like, and so, I just spent another minute and a half sweating and freaking out. And then I hear a knock, but this knock is like thicker. It's just like strong. It's clearly a different knock. It's clearly a different person. And that person is like, hey, come on, people waiting. I'm like, people? People are waiting. Okay, all right. People implies more than one person, which does imply, plural, and plural could just be two. It could just be the initial guy that knocked and is very patient, or maybe left, who knows? Maybe he had to use the bathroom so bad that he left the party completely, but this person is adamant, hey, I gotta get in there, right? And he said, people are waiting. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, 2 people are waiting. And then he yells out, you got a line out here. What's happening in there? And I looked down at my phone, and I had been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. Like I had let this go way too far. And so I froze. I didn't know what to do at all. It's like your absolute worst nightmare as a person that's like gets weird in like social interactions, to actually have this weird thing happen to you is like, I think maybe this is hell. I think maybe I've died. And so I'm pacing back and forth in the bathroom, which is only breaking more light bulb glass. And I finally look out of the little window, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to leave. Like I'm gonna have to jump out of the window. And in my like panic, I forgot that we were on the first floor. So it wasn't like a big jump or anything, but I did have to climb out of a window that wasn't man-sized. Luckily, neither am I. I was squeezing my hips at like an angle, like I put my hips like diagonal to the edges of the window to get as much space as possible, and I wiggled out. I fell out of the window, and I tried as much as I could to like pull the window back up from outside so that people wouldn't be like, oh, whoever it was went out the window. And then I was like, what do I do though? What if someone saw me go in, remembers me perfectly even though they don't know me, and could point me out, you know, because I wear the same thing every day. And so I'm like, the only option I have is to go back in. Is to go back in and join the line for the bathroom. And so I walk around the house and I'm thinking to myself, okay, all I gotta do is watch out for the host. His host was greeting me when I first walked in. As long as the host has like got to that point in the party where they're not greeting everybody and they're not answering the door every time, I should be good. And so I wait, some other people were arriving and they knock on the door. Someone else opens the door. I'm like, this is my chance. I sneak in behind those two other people and I immediately walk to the line for the bathroom. And luckily, my buddy who was late was in the back of the line, and he's like, can you just believe this? No, I do my best to be like a good house guest, you know, and especially when I travel, because when I travel, I have to do it as an American. I have to travel as an American now. You know? And it's like... I'm traveling more than I ever have in my life, experiencing new places for the first time. But one thing that I will say is, okay, there used to be a time where you would travel when you were from the U.S. You would go to other places and you would say that you were from the U.S. and people, there was a shine to it. There genuinely was like this like magnificent shine around you and your passport. People had questions for you. You know, you would say you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh, blue jeans. Wow. And then over time, the shine started to wear off a little bit, you know, like the way that we were perceived on the world stage started to change, and you would tell people that you were from the U.S. and they'd be like, oh yes, yeah, Beyonce. And now, you travel the world, and look, people ask me. I don't go around telling everyone my business all the time. People ask me, hell, where are you from? And I go, oh, it's... you know, it's American. And they're like, what? What? I didn't hear that. Oh, you know, it's United States. What? I'm American. I'm from the U.S. From America. And I've traveled in these past 2 weeks to Paris, Dublin, Brussels, Antwerp, now here. And there is a similarity. This happened more in Brussels and Antwerp than anywhere else, but it has also happened here where people will ask me where I'm visiting from, and then I will tell them. And there's a look and a noise you make that's genuinely offensive. Like it is... Once again, you asked me. I didn't say anything. I walk into the shop. Y'all are the ones, you know, asking questions and stuff. And then I say that I'm from the U.S. I'm visiting from America. And then you go, oh. You get the face or you get the noise. You don't get both. Oh. I grew up in Louisiana, all right? And when I was, sure. And when I was in Louisiana, I have friends who live in all different parts of the state, and one of my friends, he actually lives he's in like a rural area. He's in some swamp area near the bayou and everything. There's a bunch of things floating in the water, a bunch of predators out there. He does his hunting. He comes back home. That's mainly how he sustains himself and everything. And there was one time he was having a barbecue. A bunch of friends came over, and one of his buddies, his buddy Spence, came over and was having a cigarette off by himself. He walked off away from the barbecue to have his cigarette, and then sometime later, he comes back over, and in the back door, the way that a lot of the houses are built in Louisiana is you have your door and you have your screen door, and the screen door can keep out the bugs while also letting air flow into the home and everything. And so he pops his head near the screen door, and his head only, and Spence leans in and he says, "Hey, can you call an ambulance?" And our friend is like, "What? Why?" If anyone ever asks you to call an ambulance, just do it right away. I'm sure that they have a good reason. I'm sure they're not just getting you to do it for fun because they want to hear the siren. I think that they probably need some help. And so he's like, if you could just call him, that'd be great. Can you please just call him? And he's being very calm. And so our friend walks up and pokes his head out of the screen door, and he sees that Spence, though calm, is standing there, and there is a baby alligator around his foot. And that's the way you look at me when I tell you that I'm from the U.S. Now, coming here at a time where tourism in the U.S. is way down. Yeah, people aren't coming to visit as often. It's like if people used to love to come visit all the time, and then something happened. It'd be like if you went over to your friend's house all the time growing up, and then one day you stopped going, and your friend was like, "Why? Why wouldn't you just come over like you used to? Come hang out." And you're like, "Oh, well, last time I was there, your dad threw a plate at my head, so I think I'm good coming over for a while." And so tourism is down in the U.S. People are choosing other places to go, and one of the main places that they're choosing to come is to Europe. Is all these places, some people will come to Berlin. A lot of it is happening in Spain with Barcelona and Madrid, in Italy, in Paris as well. And it's getting to the point where there's so much tourism, people are actually calling it over tourism. And this is happening at the same time as massive heat waves, wild heat waves, some of which we've never seen before. It's never been as hot as it is now. It's very hot. Luckily, not here today. But this week you had, one of your hottest days on record. I can't even imagine what that must have been like, because you all are fit people. You get on bikes to go you have to understand, my frame of reference is the U.S. So the fact that you're even walking next to a bike is leaps and bounds. I can't imagine trying to ride a bike in that heat, or running. Some of you run. And so that's wild that this level of like over tourism is happening at the same time as this heat wave. And there are people in Paris, there are people in Spain and Italy that have had enough. They're losing it over this. You know, they're protesting the tourists. They're over here being like, stop it. Stop coming here right now. Talk amongst yourselves and spread it out throughout the year or something. But this is too much. You know, you have places like, I could be wrong about these numbers, but I think in Barcelona, you have like 1.6 million people living there, but like 26 million people visit throughout the year. That's wild. I understand that if you live in Barcelona and you're trying to ride your bike, eventually you're like, get out of the way! No. And then if you live in Barcelona, you're tired of all these tours everywhere all the time, and you start freaking out. You might get a reputation for being a little bit rude to tourists, and then you'll be New York. No. But people are doing the best they can to protest. There's been all these different types. People get creative and stuff. There's one where they were shooting tourists with water guns throughout the day, you know? Get out of here, ah! You know, like when a dog tries to pee on the carpet, you know what I mean? You know? Although as far as protests go, you can tell that these are like good people doing the protesting, because that's what you came with, water guns. Water gun. I don't know. I'm coming from the U.S. where it would have just been guns. Like this. You can tell these are people who have a deep moral core, because you used water guns to protest tourists during a heat wave. They probably didn't even understand what was happening. You know what I mean? They were probably over here like, oh, the Spanish are so hospitable. They saw how hot we were. And then some strangers we didn't even know were like, ah, cooling us off. You know, and I get the genuine frustration though, but this is the main problem, is that whether it's business or whether it's government, systems have a magnificent way of pitting us against each other. Like, there are people that are local that are upset because obviously with all this tourism, Airbnbs are shooting up. Airbnbs raise the price of living in the area, so then people are getting priced out of their homes. They're getting priced out of the areas that they grew up in. They have to find somewhere else to live, all for people who don't live here, who are just coming to peak, and then they head home. And that can be incredibly frustrating, but that's the people who are coming to visit didn't come up with a master plan. Airbnb and the government that allows Airbnb to run rampant are the people to blame. You should be taking, like, if you're gonna take anger out on anybody, it should be the local government and the Airbnb that allows it to run rampant. You should be using the water guns on the computers at the... You know, because I think that that's the main way that systems get to stay intact. They see this, Airbnb sees it, and local government sees it, and they're like, well, we get to rake in money while the people that live here blame somebody else. Why would we ever change our practices? You know? And I don't really know what the exact fix is. You know, I remember when Airbnb was like at your house. There was a time early in Airbnb's history where you were just renting a room in someone's house, and so they lived there, and then they collected the money from you staying with them, like a little mini hotel. But that was like easier because then they lived here, so they cared about the home, they cared about the community, and you got to get a taste of like local life. And you could even ask them, hey, is there anywhere I should go to eat? And they would tell you, this is where we're going to eat tonight. And sometimes you would actually have a meal with your host. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing. And then like private equity and more money got involved. And so it ruined it. Because now an Airbnb is also like sometimes worse than a hotel, because they'll let the person who owns the Airbnb set the rules. So now you have someone setting these insane rules for the Airbnb. Like, you can't just check out. You can't just take your trash, put outside, and leave. There are all these rules. Like, you have to make sure to wash the cabinets, wash all the dishes and everything, wipe everything down, you know, give our dog a bath. Also, you don't get charged a cleaning fee that you end up getting charged anyway, because in the small print, it was like, pick up our kid from school. And you didn't see that part. So now you're spending all this money on Airbnb to just go somewhere nice like Italy. And then you get to Italy and everyone's mad at you for visiting Italy, but you're also mad because you're like, the rules in this Airbnb say I have to buy this house before I leave.
Mira, 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 mira.